Hey everyone, it's Kyle. Azora Hype. Finally, it's here everyone. Disney Plus launch day, and of course, episode number 1 of The Mandalorian. This video is a review for episode 1 and does contain spoilers for the first chapter of The Mandalorian, so if you haven't watched yet, I highly recommend you go out and get Disney Plus if it's available to you, and you come back to get hyped with the rest of us after you've seen the episode. So I really enjoyed this episode, and I believe the hardcore Star Wars fans who have waited for 40 years for a live-action Star Wars series on TV are going to feel the same way. I personally always enjoyed the Star Wars movie trilogies, but it's very possible that the future Star Wars success lies in television shows like The Mandalorian. The level of detail we see in Chapter 1 is very impressive, and it all starts off with being introduced to our compelling and super likable main protagonist, who is played by Pedro Pascal. For those of you who are fans of Pedro like myself and enjoyed his charismatically layered performances in Narcos and Game of Thrones, you will also feel comforted by the balanced layers of swagger and humor that are featured throughout this first episode. Chapter 1, however, doesn't waste any time explaining its meticulously built world and lore. Instead, it just establishes the time and place, dropping us right into this period of disarray after the fall of the Empire. Tonally, The Mandalorian feels more like an intimate western that's set in space, but that doesn't mean it sacrifices the scope and scale we've grown accustomed to love within the Star Wars universe. The episode is fairly short with its 40-minute runtime, which is directed by Dave Filoni, who is very well respected in the Star Wars community, not only because of his connection to George Lucas, but because of his lore knowledge and his connection to Clone Wars as well. This man definitely knows the Star Wars lore, and I believe the Star Wars TV universe, for its start, is in good hands with the team of Filoni and also the showrunner Jon Favreau. Chapter 1 has a really nice mix of practical effects mixed with CGI, and a few things that really stood out in the first episode to me were definitely the beautiful costumes, especially the Mandalorian's armor, and Horatio Sands' bright blue mithril character that we see in the opening scene. The beautiful set designs were definitely nice as well. I really enjoyed that. And of course, the cantina, which featured the many different aliens and creatures that find a way to captivate our attention in all of the beautiful Star Wars universe. The cinematography looked very impressive as well, and I felt like it definitely captured the beautiful aesthetic that we've come to love within the Star Wars movies. Each scene really did feel smooth for me, and I felt it was nicely complemented with the exciting score in the background. The score is definitely epic, as to be expected with Star Wars, yet somehow each scene feels grounded and real because of Pascal's performance, even though he's wearing a steel mask. Episode 1 also introduces several characters that were intriguing and very likable, including 2 of my personal favorites, Nick Nolte's pig-faced hermit alien, and I'm sorry if I'm butchering his name, but Kuiil, he's the guy who always says, "I have spoken." I really love that character, and I think we'll be seeing a lot more of him. And IG-11, the droid, who is voiced by the fantastic Taika Waititi, that's a really great character as well. I think we'll be seeing more of him as well. Taika is directing an episode, I believe it's like 6 or 7 of The Mandalorian this season, so I expect that droid to be back as well. My favorite scenes of the episode definitely featured these characters and definitely spoke to me, but I was also very intrigued by the Mandalorian blacksmith scene. There's definitely some great mythology there, I think. Werner Herzog also gave a great performance, I think, with the client. I think that the Mandalorian is going to be making some enemies now that he chose to kill IG-11 and save the huge reveal at the end, the baby Yoda at the end, so they're definitely setting up something amazing, but those were overall my favorite scenes of the episode. However, this big twist, I think, is going to begin to unravel one of the Star Wars lasting mysteries, and while there isn't a lot known about Yoda's alien species, I can't be more excited that it's going to be included in the first season of The Mandalorian. It's particularly interesting considering the Mandalorian's reputation. This is obviously something we see in the first episode and spoke about, and his decision to kill IG-11, as we saw in an earlier scene in the episode, is going to be something that's really interesting because we saw that the Mandalorian told the armorer he was once a foundling and an orphan child. So there's definitely a connection with the Mandalorian and this baby Yoda character who is 50 years old. So I think that they're going to set up this really, really interesting kind of game of keep away, and the Mandalorian trying to protect this orphan child throughout the season. So Werner Herzog and the remnants of the Empire are definitely going to be giving him a problem, I think. And despite Yoda's species being a significant mystery in Star Wars lore, we know that Yoda and Yaddle, a female member of Yoda's species, were both a Jedi Master. So it's possible that the Dr. Pershing character that we see with the client wanted to study the species in detail because of his midichlorians and connection to the Force. So overall, this series has a ton of potential and feels like a real Star Wars series to me with Star Wars DNA and lore all over it. I'm really, really excited for episode 2, which actually drops this Friday. It's actually not going to drop next week, so we're spoiled this week. 2 episodes of The Mandalorian. Going to be checking that out on Friday as well. And yeah, I'm really, really excited to be creating Star Wars content here on the channel. If you made it this far, thank you for watching the video, and I would love to hear your thoughts and first impressions on the episode of The Mandalorian in the comments section. I will definitely be doing a more in-depth video tomorrow featuring all of the awesome Easter eggs we saw throughout episode 1, chapter 1. And I would also love to hear suggestions for the types of videos for Star Wars content that you would love to see on the channel. You can support the channel by joining up on Patreon, and don't be shy. Feel free to say hi and follow me on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, my social media. The links are in the description of this video. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you always.